Welcome back, boys and girls. This is the NAO show. We got 1 week in the books. Some of us are crying. Some of us are looking forward to week two, and the other ones are happy that week one came and don't want week two to come because they already scored a bunch of points in week one. But we got to go to week two because I lost week one and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Oh wait, we're gonna do a whole show about it. You know my host, Marky Mark, and Tank Top Mike. Nice tank top, Mike.
Can you
You see
guys
what I
hear me
did?
today? Can you hear me? Do we fix it?
We fixed it, I
Did we
think.
fix it?
All right, let's kick into this show, Marky Mark. Let's put this train back on its rails already.
Yeah, man, back into our regular season format here. Going to start off with the scores from last week. We will start off with the A Bombers versus the Fresh Prince. Are you going to go back to Fresh Prince of Bel Air, or are you just going to stick with the Prince? We'll
I'm
see
gonna
how he
stick with the print.
let's see how he does in week two. But we've got the A Bombers
Yeah.
scoring 164 to 125 for the Prince. So the champ is picking up where he left off with the highest score of the week. Sean, let's hear about your nice matchup there.
So going into week one, Cam Akers is running back one in the Rams. He did 0 points. Devontae Smith did 0 points, which I think is more of an outlier than Cam Akers 0 points. But I still scored 125 points with two people putting up goose eggs. So that's a pretty good week for me. I still got my teeth kicked in from the champion. I also want to take back that all the bad stuff I said about Jarvis Landry.
Told you.
I stand corrected.
That was a fun game to watch with you. And every time Landry did anything, really.
All I did was shake my head. I'm just like, there's Michael Thomas on this team. There was Olave on this team, and we're thrown into the 70-year-old shadow of Jarvis Landry. All right, cool. How Jameis Winston is that?
He looked pretty good in that game.
Yeah.
Gotta say, gotta say.
It's those beat writers.
Everything hurts. Everything hurts.
Pain's all over. The pain's all
Everything
over.
you say hurts me. Mike, any thoughts on that? On this game, this
Um,
matchup?
so, well, little courtesy shout out to Evan. He literally just showed me a cool graph that Sleeper spits out in the weekly breakdowns. So, yeah, Sean, you pointed out in chat that four of us could have scored 180 points, and you and Aaron were two of them. So, congrats. Yep. Yeah, you could have scored 181.42 points this week had you started the correct roster.
And if Avon started the right roster, I still would have lost.
Yeah, by 0.5 points, you would have lost.
I would have cried if I scored 181 points and still lost.
Yeah.
I would have just cried.
This is the salt in the wound section of the NAO show. Sean, do we pack
Cut me,
enough
Doc.
in there?
Cut me, Doc.
Do we pack enough in there? Or do you want some more?
That's what she said.
Well, you talked about the goose eggs from Makers and Devonta. I agree. I think Devonta's going to be. I don't think that's going to happen going forward with him. He's, Brown's going to get better coverage from better teams, and it'll get spread around a little bit more there. Akers, I think, man, I think he was just too determined to get in there and try to show somebody something, and he had like a soft tissue injury going on in camp, and it looked kind of questionable, and all of a sudden yeah, everything's good, man. Henderson's good, Akers is good. Well, Henderson was good, but Akers was not. I'm not panicking on Akers yet, and that line is still pretty bad. Didn't look much better than the Super Bowl. That line is still pretty abysmal. So now, even though Henderson did have some success, but Akers, man, I don't know. It just seemed like he was still hurting from his camp injury there. And then for A-Bomb, man, I mean, he's pretty much got all the bills. I think he's got four bills starting, including the defense, right? So,
Yeah.
not a bad offense to be tied to, man. That might carry him to some more big weeks. So we'll have to see how that goes. Oh, it's funny. Knox didn't do anything, but he didn't need it with the Bills defense kind of picking up where Knox left off.
I think this game showcases a running theme with Week 1 of these high-profile receivers going to new teams getting showcased, and unfortunately, uh, for Sean, that meant Devontae Smith got 0 points because AJ Brown got 11 billion targets, and
11 billion.
and Aaron was
Well,
the benefactor of them showcasing Devontae Adams for the Raiders. So
he only got the ball 17 times thrown to him. It's okay. You know what? Some positives for my team. I mean, Avon, great week. You had a great week. I'm glad that Mike Evans gave you 15 points against me. It was fantastic to root against myself. But Jalen Waddle, he looks good with Tyreek there. I mean, he didn't get freaking 12 targets like he normally does, but he made do with what he got, and there was some wide open targets he got against New England, which is supposedly a pretty good defense. And then the IU getting only 5.5 points this week. I'm just gonna chalk that up as it was fucking monsooning in that
it's
game,
a tough
and
game
people
to
were running
really
through
evaluate
water
anything.
most of the game. So I can't wait to see what happens next week. But Jerry Judy, he had 7 targets. I'll take that. 7 targets and a touchdown, 102 yards. I'll take that every day.
Big play. He had a drop, which kind of sucked at a crucial time, but that play he made for the touchdown was really nice. So showed, that's kind of the Judy we've been waiting for. That was a nice play. All right, let's move on to our second score of the week, and that is Tank Top Mike, 158. The Hoosier Daddies, 108. So we had the champ putting up a big score. Now we got the runner-up putting up a big score, putting the league on notice that he's hungry for more. Congratulations, Tank Top, on your first victory against me. Start us off, man. Give us a little bit of take a victory lap.
I can't rub it in. It took me 2 seasons to finally beat you. But it was funny. We were talking about it. It was Monday. It's probably halftime Monday or so, and I was still like, no, until this score is final, I'm not celebrating a win at all. But yeah, Thursday was great for me. I think in the show
Yeah.
that nobody heard, you had actually predicted, or you had said you might be 50 points behind going into the Sunday games, and it was 47 points, I think. So you're
Yeah.
pretty spot on. Do that again for me this week. I think that'd be cool.
No. I learned my lesson, Tank Top.
And then I think the highlight of this matchup is really the battle of the tight ends. You guys all picked on me. You all picked on me all offseason. Oh, Mike Gesicki this, Gesicki that. Well, he won his first matchup of the season, so you guys all shut it.
That he did, Mike. That he did.
In convincing fashion. What is it? Scored 6 times more than what mine did.
Yeah.
If my math is right, which it probably isn't.
We had 1 catch on 3 targets for 1 yard across our tight ends.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I was watching a lot of that Minnesota game, and I was just like, frickin' Justin Jefferson, man, come on. There's other guys on the team, Kirk.
Is there? Is there?
Yeah, crazy that they decided not to cover JJ, but whatever.
He's not good or anything.
No, he's not that good. I'd trade him. What do you think there, Sean? Besides JJ, we're not talking about JJ right now.
I think Pittman is worth a first round pick. I will stand by that. And I think it's nice to look at Mike's score and be like, man, you did really good. But it's crazy to look at it and say that AK only had 6 points and Eckler only had 9 points, and he still scored that many points. So, Mike, you're gonna be a scary team this season, man. You're gonna be a scary team.
Well, back
Everything
to
stays right.
back to Evan's little chart, I could have scored the most. I could have scored an even 186, but
That's
I gotta,
crazy.
I gotta get my efficiency up, I guess.
I think we all could. I definitely could take a little efficiency help.
Yeah, those wide receivers carried you, and I mean, just even average production at tight end, you might have had the high score this week. Um, yeah, of course I lost Mitchell early. That hurt. He was looking good too. And he's down for 6 to 8 weeks. Um, and yeah, big time goose egg on the tight end, man. And Irv Smith was kind of he was the sexy pick from a lot of the analysts and experts, air quote experts this year, but sure didn't do anything in that game. But you can't blame Cousins if you're not going to cover Justin Jefferson, why am I going to look at Irv Smith, or anybody else for that matter?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Dallas fiasco. I mean, that just that hurt me too with Zeke being in there and looking good early on, but then being game scripted out. So yeah, it's just going into Sunday night, I was still pretty hopeful, but then that just bad all the way around to see Dallas playing so bad and then not getting any points out of anything. So that was a rough one.
I do
But
I do want to take one victory lap in this game.
yes, sir.
Um, Dotson directly outscored Cortland Sutton week 1. So, but my victory
Outscored
lap is Dotson.
outscored who did you say?
Sutton.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
propped up by 2 touchdowns, but yeah, he showed that first round draft capital, and there it is. So
Yeah. No, he definitely had a good game. It's funny how things work out. When I trade a guy away and the manager starts him against me, he goes off. And then I do the
unexpectedly.
same thing and he can't even hit double digits. I'm like, come on, man. The fantasy guys just don't like me for some reason. I remember trading Lockett a couple of years ago to a guy and Lockett, some of those games that Lockett has. Of course I play him on the 40-point week, not the 6-point week. So yeah. But yeah, I was hoping maybe I'd get a little bit of that juju, but did not happen. Did not happen. All right, let's go on to the third score here. We've got the Pooh Crew 163, McJammers Swirly Proxy 81. This is a new feature here. We're gonna try to do a separate ass waxing of the week, and then the Miyagi. If we have a score that's really lopsided, we're gonna call that the ass waxing of the week. The Miyagi will still go to the lowest scorer, of course, but we saw this score and we had to come up with a new category. So Dylan scored 81 points, and if you doubled that, he still wouldn't have had as many points as his opponent. So what do you think, Sean?
First of all, I hate having to give credit where credit is due, and Ian being on the receiving end of said credit.
That's why I
But
call him. That's why I said his opponent. I wasn't going to name that name.
it just felt bad coming out of my mouth. But everybody on the Swirly Kings over here underperformed. And let me tell you, I feel like it's just all this freaking crap that he had to go through last year, where every time he played somebody, the other team had to have a bad week. It's time for him to have the bad week. I liked it. The only person that even came out and did something was Zach Ertz.
Well, not to reference the show nobody else could have heard except for us. But we were very,
It was our
very,
best show.
we were very
It was
critical.
our best show.
We were very critical on Silly's team last week, and here you go. This is exactly why. 80 points. Good job.
Yet again, NAO crew, 100% correct. As we stay, we are perfect. We are perfect.
That's true. Mm-hmm. But you talk about a scary team. I know, Sean, you're going to hate this one, but if Saquon Barkley's back, it's going to be rough going for a lot of us.
Sean is not a Saquon fan. He still holds a grudge from when he got him in that
I hold a
redraft.
grudge, but damn, he
Yeah,
looked good, and I have to give credit where credit is due. He looked good.
yeah, he looked like rookie Saquon, man. He was good for sure. And he's got offensive coordinator and a coach now that'll actually use him. You know, they'll actually do good things. I mean, Saquon got hurt again last year. He was looking good until he rolled his ankle there last year. But you know, even if he was playing under that coaching staff, who knows what it would have been. But man, he definitely got people that are going to use him this year.
He
Correctly.
kind of looked
Yeah.
like with how crappy CMC played comparatively to what we all expect from CMC. Barkley looked like CMC. He was catching the ball out of the backfield. He was running for 100+ yards. I mean, he looked unstoppable.
They put it in
Maybe
his
it was
hands.
just
They
maybe
put
it's
it
just
in.
that freaking Tennessee couldn't stop a cold.
Yeah, well, they put it in his hands for the win too, which was pretty cool. So yeah, you know, poor Dilly, man. He his top scorer was Tom Brady, who didn't really have a Tom Brady kind of day. 10, what did he get? 10.6, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think his his next highest scorer was on the bench, and that was Julio at 10.1. So man, that's just I just felt sad when I looked down through the scores, man. No, I'm sure there's better days ahead for him, but there's a lot of underachievers on that roster. And
He is who we thought he was.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, and you know, freaking Pukru came close to getting the top score, but his receivers didn't do a lot. But his running backs just carried the day, man. And
Well,
his,
I don't know
of
what he
course his
expects
defense
out of
scored.
him. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just could say his defense scored 18, which is crazy too. But go ahead, man.
I mean, I don't know what he expects out of wide receiver 3 T Higgins over here. I mean, he only got 3.7 points. That's all right for a wide receiver 3.
Well, he went out with a concussion, so I'm not going to let you get away with
Oh,
that
I
one.
didn't.
But yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
I didn't mean to make it sound bad. I didn't know he had a concussion.
Oh,
I
that's
feel
right.
bad.
Yeah, he's in the protocol. He is in the protocol. So, but yeah, I mean, it's still though he didn't get a lot of wide receiver production. Still got a high score because he got guys like Taylor and Saquon going off, man, and it's gonna be a good day for you. All right. So that was the ass waxing of the week. Poo Crew over the Swirly Proxy. He's probably going to take my name out of his team name now, but
I like calling him the Swirly King. So
Swirly
because
King.
he's
There you
so
go.
good at being swirlied.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. All right, moving on to the next score. We have the DBs 111, Goofy effing Jace 106. So, further proof that the world is coming to an end. The DBs actually won their opener. What do you think, Sean?
Well, I blame this win on FNG. We'll get into that later. But look at fucking Goofy Jace over here. Jalen Hurts puts up 24, almost 25 points again. He was quarterback 4 for like 5 weeks at the beginning of last year. He could be doing that stuff again. He just needs to throw the ball to Devontae Smith, and Devontae Smith needs to fucking catch the damn ball. But other than that, the DBs got lucky that they won week 1. Got lucky.
Yeah, I mean, congrats to them for getting a win, of being in the playoffs. But we're week 1 here, and like Sean said, they were Lamar Jackson and having to start Dak trade away from losing this game. So
Yeah.
you get the win, but when you make the monster trades that they did for Henry and for McCaffrey, you want to see more than 21 points combined. I'm sure. So
Yeah, definitely.
their lone bright spot, I think was AJ Brown. I think that was pretty. 13 targets is pretty close to 11 billion. But We'll
Just
see
a
if
few
that
off.
trend continues. Like I said, I think there's a lot of guys or a lot of new teams showing off their new wide receivers. So I wouldn't panic too much on Devontae Smith right now because I think that's going to level out.
Yeah,
So
I do too.
Yeah,
think
me too.
He did have 11 catches though, right? I think he had 11 catches in that game. So that was a big day for him, man.
I mean, he
Yeah.
scored 20 points and he didn't have a touchdown.
yeah,
That just tells you how many freaking catches and yards he had.
Yeah, they had a whole bunch of stuff going out of bounds at the 1 yard line. And, so what did they have? 3 different running backs plus Jalen Hurts scored rushing touchdowns. So wasn't a receiving touchdown kind of day. It was just the way it all shook out.
An interesting fact on Goofy's side is that AJ Dillon outscored Aaron Jones
Yeah.
significantly. He almost doubled his points. That just goes to show you that starting both those running backs is a smart idea.
yeah, I think they're definitely both startable for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's one of those 1A, 1B situations. So put them both in, man.
Do you think Goofy has trader's remorse for Darren Waller now? He played him once. He only didn't even break 10 points.
Eh,
I mean, he didn't have much else, right? What were you going to say there, Mike?
I guess if I had, I'm trying to look. I'm going to see. So he traded Parham, some
2
seconds, and
second
a third.
rounds?
So I wouldn't have trader's remorse for that. I think some of that was game script, and some of that was also showcasing Devontae Adams there as well. So, I mean, he still had 6 targets, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that kind of stuff going forward.
Yeah, it was
Mike and
worth a
I were
try.
watching the Atlanta game, and Cordell Patterson looked real good in week 1. We'll see how he is in week 7 or 8, but he looked really good in week 1.
Wasn't surprised to see him at the trade block.
Yeah, trade high. Trade high.
Yeah, I think Williams going down there at court. Damian Williams was out touching Cordarrelle there for the first part of the game, and then when he went out, Cordarrelle got involved again. So I don't think they planned on giving him that much work, but worked out well for him. I just kind of I definitely would. It's a good time to try to trade him. Try to get a little bit more to beef up the roster there because he lost Keenan Allen. That was a big underachiever for him,
Hmm.
and yeah, just not a lot went great for him in this one. So, but congrats to the DBs, man. They're on the winning side. They started out good here. They got just enough out of Jackson, AJ Brown, and Gibson. Gibson did pretty well. Gibson did what we thought he might do for the last couple of years. If they used him the way we thought they should use him, and I guess it took Robinson being out for them to actually do it, but he looked good, and he was a big part of their win this time. So that was kind of a pleasant surprise, I'm sure, for them guys. Those guys, sorry, them guys. I sound like a freaking. That's good for them guys, man. Sound like one of them
Yes, sir.
Tennesseans. Sound like one of them Tennesseans. Them guys is good. All right, man. We're
You
gonna
don't
go
have
into
the
the.
required lack of brain cells to be a Tennessean.
Oh man, you're gonna hear it for that one, dude. I mean, that was bad, but that was. Ricky's gonna tear you up. All right, man. Speaking of Ricky, we got the last score here is just the tips 89, FNG 66. So if you're gonna suck, then you have to hope your opponent sucks just a little bit more. That's what happened here. What do you think, Sean? Break it down for us.
Well, these two teams went in with really high expectations to be really good, and they both hit the reality button on their computers and found out that they were really bad. But there's a couple bright sides on each side. On FNG, little bright side is Miles Sanders finally getting a touchdown this year. Fantastic for him. We like seeing it. And Humpty Dumpty's first round pick last year, Michael Carter, he did pretty well. He was an all right guy to be up in there in the starting lineup, where we're all like, it's Brace Hall, right? Like, come on, y'all. But other than that, that is their highlights. That is who did well.
Yeah, if I remember, well, Michael Carter outscored Brees Hall. We've got some decent work, but didn't lose a fumble
Yeah.
either. So let's see how that plays into it going forward. But I think the
Usually
big
that's not
news,
good.
the big news out of the tips is the absolute monster wide receiver Christian Kirk. Dude had 14 points, really earning that
You
contract.
paid the man, you throw the ball to him.
He had 12 targets.
He had a
He
So
big
only
day.
caught half of them, though.
I mean, it's Jacksonville, he had a big day. It's just he didn't get a touchdown. A touchdown man, he would have been, probably up in wide receiver one, low, high two, low one area. But a good day for him, man. Good targets, good catches, good yards. Just didn't get the touchdown, unfortunately.
I think actually though a pretty good bright spot for the Tips roster is their fourth round pick Romeo Dobbs. I mean, dude looked pretty good. I mean, he had what? Let's see, 6 touches, but he caught 4 out of 5 targets, 37 yards. Not a great stat line, but rookie wide receiver going in there. I think Rodgers is all about what have you done for me lately. So
Right.
I think a pretty good showing for him actually.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there's going to be better days ahead for Brees Hall. I mean, he was kind of game scripted out, and you could see it coming before the game even started. They were playing Baltimore, one of the best defenses in the league. So you had to figure they were going to go away from the run pretty quickly. And Flacco, nobody wants Flacco at this point in his career to throw it 59 times. So you know, Brees Hall just was kind of game scripted out. Carter's more trusted. He's been there. I got to give him some credit because I've said it. I didn't think he was very good in pass protection, but he was in there and he was the passing down back, and he did pretty well in this game. And maybe he's making a leap forward. That could be good for him. So that if FNG, I don't. There's not much to say about it. I think you guys were a little upset with some of his roster choices, and the 66 points kind of backs you up, I think.
I just don't know how you draft Drake London and have the team he does and not start him. I mean, yeah, uh, James Robinson did well. There's some speculation that he could come in and do really well, but it wasn't guaranteed. I mean, Drake London wasn't guaranteed either, but you drafted him in the first round, so why not?
Yeah, not much to lose by starting him. He had a good game. He looked good. I saw a lot of the game. I was flipping back and forth with that in the Cleveland Carolina game, and Drake London looked
Yeah,
good, man.
7 targets, 5 catches, 74 yards. So that's a pretty darn good first rookie day.
The knock on him was he doesn't get separation. Dude, I was seeing plenty of separation on the catches I saw him make. He had a step or two, man. He was definitely wide open.
And New Orleans is no slouch at defense. Let's
Saying,
just
man.
say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that brings us to the Mr. Miyagi Award, which goes to FNG with his paltry 66 points.
First one of the year. He probably will have more to come.
He's going to be a contender, I think. Maybe he'll get better at setting that roster. Boston Scott might get in there.
Hell yeah.
We've been telling him.
Hell yeah.
How long have we been telling him to start Boston Scott, man? But yeah, I got a little message sent over from FNG for receiving this award. He says,
That's more messages than most people got from DMs from him.
Interesting that you say that. Listen to this. He says, I'm not really sure what this means, but thanks just the same. I have a lot of DMs to catch up on, so maybe that will shed some light on it. So, FNG's not really sure what the Miyagi is, but we'll get him up to speed here, man. So I guess that brings us to the standings. Mike, do you want to run those down quickly?
Well, it's week 1, so standings are what they are. We got 5 winners and 5 losers, and it came down to points, obviously. So Aaron, who we said all off season could have a rough season, obviously starts out in first place because absolutely why not, you know?
Absolutely.
The fun part about
Burkhead
that
and
though is
Barrios.
that means Ian is not in first place, so suck it.
That is the golden lining.
I'm in the playoffs, don't worry about it. That's all the
It's
you know,
week 1, Mike.
that's all the important playoff news that I have. Nothing else is really of value in the playoffs. Sean, I don't know if you know this. If the season finished today, you would be in the Who Cares Bowl.
Hot damn, you got me.
Yeah. And I would not, which sucks, man.
Yeah, it came down to points.
I aspire to the Who Cares Bowl.
Well, let me tell you, it's a fine art to be in the Who's Care Ball every year.
I think though some of the other bottom of the standing notes. I think obviously we all feel like Mark, you're going to climb out of the bottom 4. Obviously, no worry about it now. But Silly is down there as well. Silly's in the bottom 4. He was the playoff darling last year, but he has an uphill climb over the next 13 weeks. So we'll keep
Good
an eye
luck.
on it. Don't you worry.
And every week counts, and that low point total, he's got an uphill battle, like you say, boy.
Yeah, every single year, the final at least one playoff spot has been a tie and came down to points. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to the matchups for week 2. I will start out with the marquee matchup of the week. That is
Bum, bum,
the
bum.
Who Crew versus the DBs. So I'm surprised we haven't heard more trash talk this week. I'm sure it's going to come, but yeah, it's been kind of quiet.
mm-hmm.
What do you think, Sean, about this matchup?
You know, Mike was telling me over the weekend that one of the things that he wishes our league did was trash talk during the games more.
Yeah, you
And
got.
I was like, yeah, that's exactly what this league is missing.
Mark's the only one that's allowed to, not during the games. But everybody else, what do
Yeah.
you like? Throw your phone in the ocean? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I want trash talk for like tight ends getting freaking catches, like the petty stuff. I want it uber petty, like to the point where my phone's going off so often that I don't know if it's points for me or just Ian being dumb. So let's go. I mean, I think this matchup, if any matchup this year that can turn super petty with our trash talk, it could be this one. Let's go. Let's get some pettiness up in here. Ian, we all know that you're uber petty, so let's go.
Mhm. I think, I definitely agree with you. I think we should get some Sunday trash talk going. I want some, possibly some hurt feelings by the end of the afternoon games. Who knows?
We need some suntan lotion for this burn.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can try to instigate. We can certainly do that. I'm sure we could get a little bit going that way. Well, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
But for the matchup themselves, I'm not going to say which one who I would think or want to win because I have a horrible record of picking the person that I like and then the other person winning, and we all know where I'd go with that. But the DBs were on the trade hunt over the weekend. Bird told me that they were trying to add a piece, but we'll see how they do this week.
I think the marquee Mark matchup, I'm going to try every week to give a winner. That's going to be my goal. At least in the one, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with Ian winning this one. Yeah.
Well, I have to agree with you, man. He's got a solid lineup. He's going RB heavy. He's got Jeff Wilson in there even as a flex.
I was going to say, did you notice who we benched for Jeff Wilson?
I did not.
Well, I guess maybe not bench specifically, but ETN, his big trade target over the offseason, is on the bench.
Yeah.
Well,
There you
James
go.
Robinson had a good week last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going RB heavy, which makes sense. As we just talked about, his wide receivers didn't do a lot in last week, so go with your RBs if you got them right. With the DBs, it's going to be tough for them because they got CD Lamb there, who's kind of a big question mark right now. He got the targets last week, didn't do a lot with it. I think he'll be targeted again, but we've got injuries on the line there. Tyron Smith out. They lost Connor. Was it Connor Williams? Which one? There's two Connors. Anyway, they lost another starter. I don't know if they're going to get Jason Peters in there quickly enough or not. They were talking about a few weeks for him. So yeah, it's a backup quarterback now. It's a big question mark. And I think Najee is a risky start. They may have to move off of him. Now they've got Michael Thomas on the bench who had a good first week, and maybe he's somebody who can flex up in there. But Najee, man, that foot, I'm kind of worried about it. I think I don't think I don't know if they took it seriously enough. Um, I saw the play in training camp where he got up and he limped off and he limped up this little bank and he gets on the cart and he goes out. Um, I think that there was enough of an injury there. I don't know if he maybe should have been playing. And he went out of the game. I guess it got rolled up on and they said maybe an ankle, but they keep going back to this list prank. And we know that that's a killer right there. So that one's a big question mark too. So I look at the starting lineup and I'm thinking they may have to move off of some of these guys onto something else. And do they have enough to do it? They may have, but it's definitely a couple of guys that they'd like to have in there are questionable right now.
So I'm looking.
Well, quick update is that they do have Michael Thomas in their flex right now.
Well, I looked at it like 2 hours before
Yeah.
taping, and they didn't have him in there. Go ahead, Mike. You were getting ready to say something.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, they must have agreed with you a little bit because Michael Thomas is in, Najee's on the bench. Otherwise,
Okay.
they haven't made any changes though. So
Yeah, I mean, Lamb it's a tough one. You, you maybe don't want to bench him. He should be able to do something, but it wasn't a great game for him last week, even though he got a lot of targets. A lot of that with Dak. And that with that line being the way they are right now, it's just there's some cause for concern. As a Cowboys fan, I'm definitely concerned about it. So
Mhm.
it's one of those where you maybe you try it one more time and hope things get better, and then if not, he might be going down to the bench. But it's a big matchup for him. Here's a big opportunity for them to beat one of the top teams in the league and hang in there in the top four instead of going back down to the bottom four. And that's a question mark there. So I'm going with the Poo Crew. Going with the Poo Crew on this one. So
I just like that somebody's got to lose.
that is helpful, actually.
so you're not going to make it anonymous and go three for three.
Nope, I'm good. Moving on.
We're not going to kick the can in the bucket there. All right, man. All right. Let's
Who in their right mind would say something like that?
kick that. You're going to kick the can down the bucket. I see what you're saying. All right, man. All right. Well, moving on. Moving on. We'll go to the next matchup we have. It's the Hoosier Daddies versus the A Bombers. So tough start for the Daddies, man, going up against the runner-up and the champ in weeks 1 and 2. I needed
Well,
guys.
cry me a river.
Yeah. So I made the schedule. So yeah, can't bitch too much, right? But yeah, last week I needed guys to overachieve. It didn't really happen, and it's no different this week. I'm down by 11 in the projections, and I need some guys to overachieve. What do you think, Sean?
Well, if it makes you happy at all, uh, Cleveland is playing the New York Jets. That should make you very unhappy because that's Chubb and Hunt going against the New York Jets defense. I bet both of them do 20 points. Easy. That's going to be a tough uphill battle for you, week 2.
I don't think the Jets defense is so bad, but they right now they're on the field a lot, and that's a killer for any defense. You know, that's just a killer for
Normally
any
a bad
defense.
sign.
Yeah, yeah. So, but continue.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to how much the Bills give A-Bomb and how many points Cleveland running back give him. Because you can pretty much bank on Adams and Hill having at least a good day, if not going off. So, and Adams is playing Arizona, and well, Hill's playing Baltimore. So we'll see how that works out in Baltimore because there's a lot of people to cover on Miami's offense right now. So we'll see how Miami's got a hard week too coming in. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think Aaron. Obviously, you don't. It's a little bit harder on a fantasy team, but Aaron might be in for a little bit of a regression total scoring, which is helpful for you, obviously. Um, I mean, some of your matchups, though, Mark, you're primed to go off on a few of them. I mean, we just talked about Dallas. Their defense didn't get beat up too much, but Jamar Chase against that Dallas defense, I mean, you got to feel kind of good about that. I mean,
Yeah.
if you got to figure,
Diggs is going to shadow him, isn't he?
well, he'll give up a few
Is
big
Diggs
plays for
shadow?
sure.
He'll give up a big play. I
Yeah,
mean,
he'll
he
give up
might
a
get him on a few, but he'll
fantasy
give up a
wise.
big
I
play.
would like that matchup.
Yeah, yeah,
And even then, I mean, you got to figure Jamar Chase is going to, and he's going to know that Burrow's coming out hot. I mean, Burrow's pissed. So,
Yeah, he's Big Mac.
if the dude is as ice cold as he's been saying he is, then here's your game to prove it. Otherwise, he's a bust. Confirmed. Done.
And again, Dallas, if that offense struggles like it could easily, then the defense, we still have a good defense at Dallas, but if you're on the field a lot, then
Hmm.
sooner or later you're going to give up big plays to a guy like Chase.
But yeah, I think the Broncos could have a little bit of a nice revenge game. Houston didn't look too bad, obviously. They looked better than we thought they probably would, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, end of the day, it's still Houston, and I think Denver could come out pretty hot. And we talked about Sutton and Williams. Williams looked pretty great. Um,
Yeah.
there, we didn't talk about how good he looked in the matchup, but I mean, if he keeps doing that, I mean, that's a guy that you nailed the spicy meatball take as that looks, as we're looking forward. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
he,
sure.
he pretty much got the lion's share of the passing down work for the running back, and that's valuable. So definitely, the fumble was the killer, and I guess the only saving grace was that Melvin Gordon did the same thing in the same place. So that's better days ahead again. So yeah, I definitely got some good matchups. I'm going wide receiver heavy. Some of it's some unproven guys like Elijah Moore. And he's going against a good defense. But again, I think they're going to sling the ball a lot. They're probably going to have it's Cleveland. They should be able to hang in a little bit more. I don't think they may not throw it 59 times, but it's a good defense in Cleveland. They're going to get to the point where they have to pass the ball. Zeke is just you gotta devalue him right now because of the injuries on the line and backup quarterback in there. They're going to stack the box and it's going to be tough for him. Can't.
I think in their projections, they kind of bake that in because he's only projected 11.6 points right now, where he would normally be projected 13 plus probably. I think
Yeah.
that's what they're taking into consideration in that projection too.
Hopefully they're smart enough to try to get him involved in the passing game because he can catch the ball and run. So that's what I would do, and I definitely have Pollard out there, but we'll have to see how they handle this. But I look at, you're right, Mike, as far as you score 163 points, and you figure the next week's going to be down a little bit, but he's got all those Buffalo, starts against Tennessee. Um, that that could just be ugly. I guess my biggest hope there is that you just sit all your starters after you get up by 28, and then maybe not all his guys will get it. Maybe your guy Diggs will get it, and not Davis and not Knox. But it's still Josh Allen going off, and then that Devontae Adams against Arizona. And I watched that Arizona Kansas City game, and I think Arizona has the worst defense in the league. They are horrible. And I noticed that FNG has them on the roster, and they had a -2 last week, and that might be their highest score for the year, man. They are horrible. I think Devontae Adams can get out there and jog and still beat their cornerbacks, man. I think he can go half speed, get him about 3 touchdowns, and then go in at halftime, get into street clothes, and just watch the rest of the game. They are horrible, man. They are horrible. I mean, of course, it's tough. Anybody going up against Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, that's a tough matchup. But dude, they were bad. They were just horrible. So I'm not feeling good about my chances. I need some overachievers, man. So
So at what point do you just blow it up and go rebuild there, Marky Mark? 0-3, 0-4? What are we doing here?
I think you know me better than that. I went 0-5 last year and was still scrapping. I may not go that far this year, but uh, yeah. I mean, I feel like I got enough players to do it. I just got to get things to fall my way a little bit. Playing two tough teams right off the bat. It'll get easier, man. It'll get easier. Dylan's out there
He's
somewhere.
thinking about it now, Tank Top. He's thinking about it now.
Dylan's out there somewhere.
Dylan's
just
out there
just the
somewhere.
tips. What's that? What's that,
Dylan-
Mike?
Dylan's out there somewhere is a great take.
All right, let's move on to our fourth matchup of the week. That is the Prince versus Goofy effing Jace. So we got two good rosters here in search of the first win. Who gets it? Sean, think you?
It's gonna be me.
All right.
I don't think Joe Burrow throws 4 interceptions again. I mean, I saw one of the interceptions against Pittsburgh, and it was JT Watt just making a phenomenal play at the line. Like he just went up and went, "Boop, this is mine." Like I've only seen that a few times in my life, and JT Watt is just a phenomenal player. So, and
Good question.
Mike told me that Joe Burrow was staring into his locker for hours after the game. So that just makes me think that he's very upset with how he played and he wants to light the league on fire. So I like my chances.
Hey, is JT Watts any relation to TJ or
Is
did
it
I get it
TJ
back?
Watt?
Or
Son
did
of a
I get it
bitch.
backwards?
I just said JT Watt.
You got,
I knew that sounded weird.
you got me second guessing myself. I'm like, man, maybe I'm the one that's wrong. I don't know. I thought it was TJ, but you said JT. Maybe you're thinking about your favorite roster with the Pooh Crew and JT.
Moving on.
Mikey, what do you think here?
I think Goofy's not the super easy out that we were kind of projecting him, early on in the season. So
That's very true.
well, I think if at the end of the day, I feel like Sean, your roster's kind of built for some upside games, and I think you're going to get him. But I feel like Goofy's one of those guys you can't overlook. You got to make the right moves to beat him.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty happy seeing CEH there in that RB2 spot. That's pretty nice for you.
He
finally
can't do
made it.
worse than Cam Akers last week.
He finally made it into your starting lineup. That's nice.
It's been 1 week, Mike.
Yeah, I noticed you got CEH and Henderson in there. I think that's a good call. I think Henderson looks like the guy right now. While we figure out
He's
what's going
playing
on with it.
Atlanta, so
I'm not really sure why you have JJ in the flex, but you do you. But I mean,
he plays on Monday night.
JJ in the flex. All right.
He plays on Monday night. I take it very seriously on when they play.
Yeah. No. Okay. I didn't. I don't think I noticed Monday night, but I see that Goofy's got Duvernay in there, so he was good last week. He's trying to. I guess he's betting on the repeat of that. I honestly feel like that was a little bit of an anomaly, but we'll see. I like Duvernay. I saw a lot of people picking up Prochet and I even picked him up in the league because Duvernay wasn't available. But I feel like Duvernay's like the number 2 there as far as receivers. We all know Andrews is the man there, and Bateman should be the best wide receiver. But I really feel like Duvernay is the next best guy up behind those two, and he showed it. I think he showed that if the other guys are covered, he can do a little something. So that might be a good key play there. And I think Mike Williams, he didn't step up much after Allen went out. Maybe they concentrated more on Mike Williams on the defense, and but I think he could be a smash this week. I think he'll come back and give him a good game. I think
Against
that
Kansas City?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Kansas City's not the best defense. They
Okay.
they got a decent defense, but Williams could do well against them. He had a big game against them last year. I don't think they've improved that much on defense. I think he can do the same thing.
Mhm.
It's just they've got a game plan for it, and I don't know. It seems like Allen went out, and they just kind of. I think Herbert just went with who was who was open, and I don't think Williams did enough to step up. And like I said, maybe they just concentrated on him more on defense. But
A
I
point
think
of interest on the point of interest on Goofy's team is that he's not starting Michael Carter after a good week 1. He does have Hall in there, so we'll see what happens there.
I think my biggest thing on Goofy's roster is all the talk about J.K. Dobbins might actually start. Does he move him up? If Dobbins is
Good
playing,
point.
do you put him in finally?
yeah, my thoughts on Dobbins is that he probably should sit about 4 games. So I think he really wants to get in there and
Mm-hmm.
prove Twitter wrong. But I really wish he would just wait it out, man.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I have a share of J.K. Dobbins, and I'm of the mindset that he's gonna have to show me first before I put him in the lineup. So we'll see what happens.
Dude, his injury was about as bad as it can get because they said that not there's like three components there, right? You got your ACL and your MCL, and then was it the meniscus? But it's like not only did he hurt all 3 of those, but he also did something to the hamstring in that injury. I mean, it was pretty horrific. And why would you try to push back quicker than you need to? It seems that's what I said. It seems to me like he needs about 4 more games. Let him get to 100% before he gets in there. But we'll see, man. He wants to play badly. We'll see if they let him in there or not. I think it's irresponsible, just like I think it was irresponsible to play Chris Godwin. you know,
Yeah,
uh,
that turned out
yeah,
well.
yeah. I think it's irresponsible, man. Let good on him for wanting to get in there, but man, you know, don't push it and hurt yourself and be out longer than you need to be. So
Yeah.
I feel for Goopy because that's man, we all wanted JK. I think he's gotten offers from everybody in the league for JK.
At least
Um,
3 times.
yeah, and then to go down in a preseason game like that, man. So I hope he gets back. I'm really pulling for JK a lot because I like him a lot. Great player. Hope he can get back to form. All right, we're gonna go to our last matchup. We have Just the Tips versus Tank Top Mike. And I look at this and I just don't think the Tips have the roster to hang with Mikey here. Mike, we'll let you start it off. It's your matchup. What do you think, man?
I mean, I certainly feel good looking at the matchup. I try not to, we learned from Silly last year, not to overlook a roster too much. But at the same time, I have a roster I feel pretty comfortable with. I'm probably not going to make any changes, to be honest. Well, I guess we'll see about tight end. I'm not sure that my point six one catch for 1 yard is going to hold up against Pitts, even though he only scored 2.9 points last week, like a bum. But
I'll, I'll I'll talk to you about tight ends after the show. But I digress. Look, go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
A little correction on my part. Goofy does not have Michael Carter. It is the Tips that has Michael Carter. That was on me. But I'm interested to see what Romeo Dubs does against Chicago. I think that'll be fun to watch. I think, obviously, I think the game is for Tank Top Mike to win and for him to lose. So let's hope Patrick Mahomes doesn't break the touchdown record almost again this week. So have fun.
Well, I've had good luck on Thursday games so far, so hopefully that continues.
I'll play just a little devil's advocate here. So, Mike, you got some guys questionable right now. We got Kamara with a rib injury, and he was a little bit down. Have you done your research on that? What do you think about that one?
Yeah, his just seemed to happen sometime during the game, and then I think they just protected him, and then kind of game scripted him out on purpose a little bit, in the second half of the game.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part about that is when Jameis Winston looked really good in the second half. So definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. I'm not worried if it's Wednesday today, obviously, so I'm not worried if he didn't practice.
Right,
Not
right.
worried about that kind of stuff. The other side of it is right now it's an easy thing. If Kamara plays, he's in.
Right.
And then I'll go after that. But yeah, I mean something. I'm actually a little more curious what happened with him than I am with DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
DeAndre, I'm not too worried about that one at all. He played late into the fourth quarter. It seems like just a typical little soreness after the game. Sit him for a day, put him on the injury
Yeah,
report because you
I
have to.
think they held him out of practice, right? Was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
today or
yeah. He was out of
um
practice today, but yeah, he played pretty late. He was there, I think, all the way to the end of the game, so
yeah.
not
And
too
you're
worried
and
about
you're right,
that.
it is Wednesday, so it's a it's as you get further into the week, if they're missing practice, it's more of a worry. But they're I think the teams are doing better about managing their guys and giving them rest when they need it. So I'm not too worried about it yet. But I just saw him pop up on there today, and I was like, oh wait, what happened to Swift? Because he was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was also the highest graded running back this week for PFF.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a great trade
If
you
my
made.
memory serves me correctly, some idiot said ETN was going to outplay Swift. Am I wrong in that? Am I wrong in that statement?
You're not wrong in that there's an idiot there, but I don't know about the details. But there is an idiot that makes statements like that for sure. Um, they got Pittman down. I don't think that's a big one, but they got him listed with a quad, and he was a big part of your win last week too. So, I
He's a little
saw.
sore from running all over the field, catching everything important.
Yeah, I think same kind of thing for him as Swift. He played like 98 something percent of snaps, and
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's just a Wednesday kind of when your team is this good, half of them sit on Wednesday,
yeah. Yeah, something to monitor. But I thought, okay, well, if the worst case happens, you've got just the tips over here with Singletary going against Tennessee, another Buffalo against Tennessee matchup, which could be really good. And it would just really suck for Ricky if Singletary goes off against his team. He'd probably rather have Tennessee do well, but Singletary could have a
Yeah, he would.
he could have a day because they probably don't even have to pass a whole lot to beat Tennessee. Um, then I looked at, you mentioned Dubs, Sean. Dubs and Watkins going against Chicago. That's a good matchup right there. Chicago defense still isn't up to snuff, and there's two guys that could do a little something for you that's in their starting lineup. They've got Hardman going up against the Chargers. Interesting thing about Hardman was that a lot of that little behind the line of scrimmage stuff that they used to do with Tyreek is what they did with Hardman.
hmm
And he had a good game last week. So if Hardman can settle into that Tyreek role and be a little more consistent than he's been in the first few years, man, that could be a smash play because that should be a high scoring game. We all
They
hope anyway, because man, I mean, everybody's talking about, oh, it's got the highest over, the over under or whatever points total. It's like, man, if they don't live up to it, it's going to really suck. But man, I hope they.
they even have Tyreek or Hardman nicknamed Tyreek 2.0,
There
which
you go.
does not sound like a tips thing. If I had to bet, if we looked back, that's an Evan thing to do. But I don't
It
know if
might be.
Yeah.
I don't
It
know if
might
they ever
be.
owned him, to be
I
honest.
thought when you traded that the nickname went away, but I could be wrong about that.
Actually, no.
It
Um,
doesn't?
Hardman was just drafted in the vet draft and has never left the roster. So
Okay. Okay.
apparently Ricky thinks he's a Tyreek 2.0.
All right. Well, I mean, last week was a good indicator of that. And then finally, they got the Cleveland defense against the Jets. That's the big streamer this week. Everybody's trying to pick up Cleveland against the Jets. So if it turns out how a lot of analysts and experts are saying, then maybe Cleveland puts up some points for them and gets them a little extra, that you wouldn't normally count on. So I see some good matchups for them. If there was gonna be a perfect storm in which they got it, that would be the scenario. But I'm still picking you, Tank Top. I think that you got just too much for him.
So we'll see how tomorrow goes.
All right.
I got another 2 heavy hitters tomorrow. So
Yeah, practice
Say
tomorrow is
again,
going to be.
I have Mahomes and Eckler tomorrow night. So I got 2 heavy hitters on Thursday again.
Yeah, true.
Well, that's benefited you quite a bit the last week, so I just assume that they're going to go off like crazy. So we'll see what happens there. That is week 1 in review and week 2 preview. If you love the show, hit the like button. If you don't like the show, hit the like button. If you're Landon, you almost weren't a part of the league, but you were, but then you weren't when you came back. Everybody. And yeah, Ian, you suck.